Welcome to Native Talk Arizona, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. Later in the show, Chantel Harrison will tell us about her work on sustainable food systems in Indigenous communities utilizing controlled environment agriculture from an Indigenous perspective. And we'll chat with versatile painter Damian Jim. But right now, host Lanasha Puwadi talks with Casandra Foster, recruiting partner with the Student Conservation Association.
I'm host Lanasha Puwadi. Casandra Foster is the recruiting partner with the Student Conservation Association, the largest provider of hands-on environmental conservation programs for youth and adults. Hello, Casandra. It's an honor to have you on our show today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
And before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. I am a recruiting partner with the Student Conservation Association, mainly for the state of Alaska, but every year I do help out with a crew in Arizona. I am Alaska Native. I was born and raised in Alaska. I'm also a tribal member. I strive for others to learn their culture, be a part of our land, and also get in touch with their lost culture and learn that as well. I love being outside, and I encourage all to do so as well.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And just to start off with the basics, can you let us know what is the Student Conservation Association?
Yes. So the Student Conservation Association was founded in 1957 by Liz Putnam. The SCA remains dedicated to building the next generation of conservation leaders committed to protecting the environment and our communities. Our program participants protect and restore national parks, marine sanctuaries, cultural landmarks, and community green spaces across the United States. Together, we will train more professionals for this line of work as climate change increases, both the frequency and intensity of destructive wildfires. These positions also serve as bridges to additional opportunities for young people beyond their local communities. A fun fact, in 2022, we had more than 2,000 participants who have provided more than 920,000 hours of conservation service in our national parks, state forests, and municipal green spaces, and we're very proud of that. After working with the SCA, our members emerge with increased environmental awareness, social responsibility, and leadership skills.
Can you let us know or expand more on the programs that you provide?
Yes, the SCA offers nearly 1,800 all-expense-paid internships each year with, of course, the National Park Service, National Forest Service, U.S. Fish, Wildlife Service, and various state and local agencies. We also provide travel allowance to and from those work sites. Housing is provided on-site, and a biweekly living allowance is also provided. Many of our internship positions are also eligible for an AmeriCorps award, which is money for school. Interns get placed into a wide variety of fields, including visitor services, habitat restoration, working with kids, trail work, resource management, just a whole array of different fields of work. In addition to our internship program, we also offer young adult programs for adults over 18 and also youth crews for high school students aged 15 to 19 in high school.
And do you have specific programs in the Southwest, or are they kind of all the same overall at each location?
Our internships differ, in each state. It varies on what type of internship is available. Right now, I am currently seeking crew leaders for our Navajo National Monument Four Corners Youth Crew in Shanto, Arizona. This is a very unique crew, they will be working out at the Navajo National Monument, assisting National Park Service staff and trail crew. These leaders will guide and help train crew members on a variety of tasks while maintaining safe, productive, and enjoyable work environments for the youth. The youth members will work on service projects with the leaders, including trail restoration, maintenance, other maintenance projects around the park, culturally and historically significant projects, and other opportunities. So this is our second year running a crew out in Southwest Arizona, and we are primarily seeking Alaska Natives or American Indians to fill the crew.
And what age range does this go for?
So the leaders need to be 21 and older, and the crew members need to be 15 to 19 and in high school.
Oh, wow. This is a great opportunity for the youth and adults.
It really is. It is.
Can you let us know why is it important to encourage youth or adults to get involved in environmental conservation?
Certainly. It helps young people understand why the environment is important, and it also provides them with the tools they need to live eco-friendly and live sustainable lives. Our programs allow youth to explore their own environment, in which they grew up around, engage in problem solving, and also take action and improve their environment in which they live. Doing this work not only, gives the youth motivation to keep on doing the work, but also it supports the natural process and gives the youth firsthand experiences and hopefully sparks that interest in conservation and keeps it going.
And the internship that you had mentioned that you guys are kind of looking for in the Chantel area, if there are any of our youth or adults who are interested in applying for that internship, how do they go about applying? And is it a very long process, or is it pretty self-explanatory and quick?
Well, they can apply on www.thesca.org. Our application process can be a little lengthy at first. We are actively making revisions to that just to make it a quicker process for interested candidates. And they're also, in addition to www.thesca.org to apply, someone is also more than welcome to reach out to me on my email at cfoster@thesca.org.
That's awesome. And Casandra, can you let us know, or can you describe like a typical day of someone who is in that internship?
Yes. So in Chantel, Arizona, working out at Navajo National Monument, the youth will stay for 4 nights of the week in the park with park staff and with their leaders. They will sleep overnight, wake up, eat breakfast. Amenities are provided, so they will have access to running water and any other amenities that are needed. And then they will be trained on how to appropriately use these hand tools and also on how to construct trails and remove overgrown brush. Lunch is provided. All food is provided. Housing is provided via tent. At the end of the week, the participants will return home for the weekend and then return back to work that following Monday. And this crew is a 1 month long with a start date of June 26th and an end date of July 28th.
So it's like the perfect summer opportunities, summer jobs for our youth that are currently on summer break. Casandra, you had mentioned about the internship. Is there any prior experience that youth or adults need to have before applying for this internship?
So, yes, that's a great question. Leaders do require experience, obviously, because they've got to lead a crew. So there are some more specific requirements there. But for crew members and young adults seeking to experience the Student Conservation Association, there are no requirements of skills. Everything, if they're interested in being a part of the SCA, we encourage applications and want to let everyone know that we will train and make sure you are set before you go out to any work site or anything like that. So no experience necessary. As long as you have an interest and passion for the outdoors, we encourage you to apply.
Oh, wow. And is there a physical requirement? Like, does it entail a lot of walking and lifting that may require individually to meet a physical requirement?
Yes, so that is correct. A lot of our positions do entail a lot of labor and strenuous labor work. Keep in mind these positions are, for the most part, outside in remote areas, and the work required is trail building, trail maintenance, invasive species removal. Not to take away from our other research internships where candidates will be out in the field collecting field data to bring back to the lab and do their research on what they've collected. So yes, I do expect to be doing labor, do expect to be doing a lot of walking and even hiking outdoors.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. It is a great way to get your exercise and also really be out there getting hands-on experience, hands-on being outside, and also getting paid for doing all of that.
Yes, certainly. Each person is paid. Yes. It's a great package for sure.
Oh, yes, definitely. Casandra, can you let us know how can our listeners learn more about the Students Conservation Association and this internship, how they can apply or who they can reach out to ask more questions if they have any, just where they can go for general information?
Sure. To apply for the Student Conservation Association, I would suggest everyone going to www.thesca.org. There you will be able to start your application and also see other internships that you might be interested in. We are also available on social media. On Instagram, we're at the SCA. On Twitter, we're at the SCA. And then on Facebook, we're at Student Conservation Association. In addition to those sites to check us out, listeners are welcome to send me an email at cfoster@thesca.org or via phone at 907-268-5907.
Perfect. Well, I'd like to thank you, Casandra, for taking time out to talk to us today to tell us more about the SCA and all of this great opportunities you have for the youth and adults.
And thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. It has been an honor.
Coming up, Lanasha talks with Chantel Harrison, Diné graduate student at the University of Arizona's Controlled Environment Agriculture PSM program. Support for KRDP 90.7 FM comes in part from Native Health, with 2 locations in Phoenix, 4041 North Central Avenue, Building C, near the corner of Central Avenue and Indian School Road, and at 2423 West Dunlap Avenue. Native Health is also located in Mesa at 777 West Southern Avenue, near the corner of Southern Avenue and Extension Road. Native Health provides primary medical, dental, behavioral health, WIC, and wellness services for the urban Native American community. For more information, call 602-279-5262 or visit our webpage at nativehealthphoenix.org.
Welcome back to Native Talk Arizona, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm host Lanasha Pawadi. Chantel Harrison is a Diné graduate student at the University of Arizona's Controlled Environment Agriculture PSM program. She is a U Arizona IndigiFuse trainee, U Arizona Sloan Scholar, and Native Pathways Fellow. Her current work focuses on sustainable food systems in Indigenous communities, utilizing controlled environment agriculture from an Indigenous perspective. Hello, Chantel, and welcome to our show.
Hi, Lanasha. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and your background?
Sure. So I am currently a graduate student at U Arizona, completing my last graduate requirements in the Controlled Environment Agriculture program. Prior to coming back to school, my career interest and focus was in nutrition, public health, food access, and food sovereignty, working with tribal communities and underserved communities in Arizona. And overall, my interests have always been centered on food, and I think this stems from my experiences growing up and helping on my grandparents' farms in New Mexico. So now that I'm in the process of graduating and looking for different career opportunities, I'm really excited about continuing to combine my interest in food, controlled environment agriculture, and nutrition to provide meaningful solutions that will help address food access and food sovereignty in Arizona.
And you're currently kind of working with indigiponics. Can you tell us what is indigiponics?
So indigiponics initially started as my graduate research project, which also aligned with the internship credits that I needed for my degree program. So the overall objective of indigiponics was to identify indigenous crops that can be respectfully cultivated in a controlled environment greenhouse. And with the support of the Howry Program Native Pathways Initiative, I was able to secure a greenhouse at the Controlled Environment Agricultural Campus at U Arizona, which also allowed us to purchase hydroponic systems that would best suit the indigenous crops that we selected. In addition to kind of the larger goal of indigiponics, we also have these kind of mini objectives, which also includes providing free educational resources based on the basics of hydroponics and CEA, which we hope to distribute to tribal colleges, community colleges, and to the general public. The other component of this project is developing a network of indigenous growers, farmers, and tribal governments who are interested in CEA to potentially which can potentially lead to future collaboration in agriculture.
Wow, that is so awesome. And you did mention two terms. Can you let us know what is hydroponics and what does controlled environment agriculture mean, CEA?
Yeah, so hydroponics is another method of growing which utilizes a water-based nutrient solution instead of soil. So there are different types of hydroponic systems with varying levels of technology. In our indigiponics greenhouse, we use a kind of very basic cracky bucket system all the way to a deep water culture system, a beta bucket system, and a microgreen rack, which is kind of all controlled with different inputs. And controlled environment agriculture is a term used to describe controlling the growing environment of plants. This can include temperature, light, airflow, nutrient solution, and it can also mean that we include different levels of technology such as sensors and computer programming. And this can be at various levels of technology and controlled environment agriculture based on the structures. So kind of our starting point is a hoop house with side ventilation. Then we kind of progress to a greenhouse, which is the level that we're at with the indigiponics, where we have a greenhouse that has some sensors that might measure the light or the airflow or the humidity. And then it could progress to another level with indoor and vertical farming. So at the Controlled Environment Agriculture Campus, we have a vertical farm in which every aspect of the growing environment is completely controlled and monitored by sensors and a computer program.
And why is this important for sustainable food systems and food sovereignty?
So I think hydroponics and CEA can be used as a complementary growing method with traditional in-field agriculture to build a long, sustainable local food system that can benefit tribal communities in many ways. For instance, if we wanted to utilize hydroponic systems to continually grow leafy greens and herbs throughout the year, we can use that. But we also know that hydroponic systems maybe not be the best fit for some of our kind of bigger plants that need more space. So that's where we can combine in-field agriculture, which would allow indigenous communities to be able to select their produce, to have more say in the types of foods that they eat. And it can also allow them the opportunity to grow culturally relevant foods and medicines that they know are safe to use and consume.
And I know you mentioned about leafy greens and herbs. What type of crops do you grow?
So it kind of varies in Arizona with the seasons as well. Right now it's a little bit warm in the greenhouse, so we have a different variety of beans and peas. We also have a native huckleberry that we're trying to learn how to grow in there. But in the past, we've had leafy greens like gem lettuce, basil, and we were also able to utilize our microgreen rack, which we were able to produce amaranth, cilantro, basil, radish, broccoli, and we even tried sunflowers.
Oh, wow. And I know you just mentioned since it is hot now, it kind of impacts the crops that you grow. Does global warming impact the controlled environments?
It definitely can impact the growing environment, especially depending on where the greenhouse or where the growing structure is located. Here in Arizona, we have to be more cautious about the types of plants we can grow. We, in fact, also have a growing season, so most of the greenhouses at the SEAC are actually empty because we know we can't grow without having to utilize more water. And with the hydroponic systems, the main kind of like benefit is using less water. So we know we have to learn to utilize our natural resources carefully to be able to efficiently grow kind of year-round if we wanted to.
And what are some of the benefits of using hydroponic systems to grow fresh vegetables in the desert?
So the main kind of benefit is we are able to utilize less water. And the other kind of benefit, if you're a home grower, is we're able to select systems that fit our needs. in terms of our space. So sometimes we might have just like a patio, or we might have a sidewalk, or we might have a bigger backyard to be able to utilize different sizes of hydroponic systems. So it can be utilized year-round, indoor and outdoors. And the overall, I guess, benefit is just an increase in efficiency relating to space and water usage.
And how has your work evolved?
Since the beginning of spring, there has been a lot of interest in indigiponics from campus and outside of campus. But I think kind of the main project that has evolved out of indigiponics is that we were able to offer a mini-series workshop. So we were able to provide a microgreen workshop as well as a nutrient film technique workshop, in which we showed people how to use these systems, and also what it can mean on a larger scale. So we were able to show people the teaching greenhouse, which is on the SEAC, as well as an aquaponics and our greenhouse.
And are these workshops available virtually, or are they all in person? And who do you think should attend these workshops?
So the workshops were sponsored by the Campus Sustainability Fund through one of their mini grants. So unfortunately, we were able to use those funds all within the spring semester. However, we are looking for opportunities to provide additional workshops moving forward, probably more so in the fall when it's a little bit cooler and we have greenhouses in operation.
Do you have any favorite success stories you would like to share with us?
I think there are a few success stories that come to mind, but I'm really excited about the opportunity to kind of share the greenhouse space and to share our knowledge with our community, both on campus and kind of at, on a broader scale. So when we had students come to our greenhouse, it was exciting to see how excited they were in terms of knowing that they could also utilize these technologies and this equipment at home to grow and provide food for their families.
And finally, how can our listeners find out more information about indigiponics, and how can they contact you if they have further questions?
Sure. So we are in the process of building our website. So if people are interested in reaching out, they can still reach out through the website. It is indigiponics.com. Or if people are more involved with social media, we do have an Instagram, which is just indigiponics. And we kind of had a lot of people reach out through that, and that's been a great method for us to communicate and build relationships with other organizations.
Perfect. Well, I'd like to thank you, Chantel, for talking to us today to tell us more about the indigiponics and all of the great work you're doing. And we will definitely follow you on social media so that way we can keep up to date on your upcoming workshops as well.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Up next, Lanasha chats with Damian Jim. Support for KRDP 90.7 FM comes in part from Native Health, with 2 locations in Phoenix, 4041 North Central Avenue, Building C, near the corner of Central Avenue and Indian School Road, and at 2423 West Dunlap Avenue. Native Health is also located in Mesa at 777 West Southern Avenue, near the corner of Southern Avenue and Extension Road. Native Health's patient enrollment specialists can help you enroll, renew, or update your access information. This can be done in person, on the phone, or via Zoom, days, nights, or weekends. It's fast, easy, and can make a difference in keeping your health care coverage. For more information, call 602-285-9492.
Welcome back to Native Talk Arizona, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm host Lanasha Puwadi. In the studio with me is Damian Jim, a versatile painter whose works are largely abstract and configurative and include influences of surrealism, comic book art, and graphic design. Hello, Damian. It's an honor to have you on our show today.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Of course. And before we get started, please tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and your background.
Sure. I'm originally from the Four Corners area, from the Utah side, southeastern Utah. And I've moved back and forth between there and Arizona near Flagstaff. So I come from sort of like a semi-traditional family in that my grandparents, one of them was a medicine man. And I think that kind of helped me to grow up in both worlds, where I was really grounded on one side and the traditional side of going to all the ceremonies and going to some of the other dances and stuff like that every winter. But at the same time, I was also exposed to the very cultural or very popular side of Americana. And so out of that, I grew up on Saturday morning cartoons and anime and just a lot of popular movies. And I think from that's what fashioned a lot of my love of popular art. And I started young and started with cartooning and was in my school newspaper. And eventually from there went to high school. And a lot of my high school teachers saw my potential, so they really encouraged me. And eventually I ended up going into graphic design right out of high school, because I figured that I might as well hit the ground running. And I didn't really have a lot of financial support from people around me, so I figured that was the best way to get a job and get out there and start taking care of myself. And out of that, eventually landed me a role back near the reservation in a town called Bluff. And I started working with a trading post, and they wanted me to work with some of the basket weavers out there with the Black family. We were just very well known for their weaving abilities, and also Mary Black. She was the matriarch of the whole family. And through them, I got to get a better understanding and grounding of who I was, where I come from, my culture, and everything. And it was through studying all the written down oral histories of the ceremonies, and also through looking at all the sand painting art, all the silver work, and all the rugs. And that project lasted about maybe 4 years, and out of that, a huge body of designs came out of that. And a lot of what I see today in museums and different galleries, I actually noticed that there's a lot of some of the designs that I helped contribute to, and it has carried forth in that it allowed a lot of the artists to express their creativity. And you can tell that from some of the weavers that are still weaving today, from some of that work. And out of that, I just started exploring abstract art. I did that for a decent amount of time, probably about 10 years. I eventually burned myself out on that, and I decided to go back and start doing surrealism, which was my first love ever since I was young. And that's gotten me up to the point of today.
So really your background has really influenced all of the work that you're doing today, and also your experiences that you've came upon.
Definitely. A lot of the work that I've done recently has drawn upon my experiences as a child growing up until recently, I guess. And then it's just kind of built up upon itself little by little, in that it's kind of like a form of therapy in one sense, and that I'll kind of draw those ideas and then kind of leave them and put them into painting. And then that way, that allows me to move on and start building upon myself. And I've used it as that kind of a vehicle to kind of explore further and start just fleshing out ideas that no one really thinks about, and just kind of doing my own thing, because I really want to do art that draws upon my creativity and where I'm coming from instead of the culture itself, because I don't really want to sell my culture anymore as an artist.
Oh, yes, that's understandable. And your artwork is very beautiful. Speaking of that, can you tell us a little bit more about the different mediums you work in, like your skateboarding? And I know you recently posted more about your 3D art as well, your digital painting and your acrylics, every medium that you've been working with.
I started in high school doing a lot of pen and ink work, and it's something that I still carry on to this day. It's kind of my steady tool that I use to sketch, to kind of play around with, or just to get ideas, fully realized ideas. And out of that, when I went to graphic design school, I started doing digital art. And that was mostly using Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, and some of the characters that I put into my paintings right now, they're actually conceived from that era to where I was starting to work with those figures. I didn't really do much in terms of producing any art with the digital art. It was mostly just in Photoshop. And when I was working for the Trading Post, I started doing a lot of work with Adobe Illustrator, which was the main tool that I was using to create the designs. And I would create just these elaborate basket and rug designs, which, kind of made me go off and explore different what ifs. What if I could do pieces that look like this or like that? And it was out of that I started using some of those ideas for acrylic paintings. And some of those acrylic paintings then I entered into the Gallup Ceremonial. It's like a yearly event they hold over in Gallup, and they have art contests in there. So I started entering it into there, and there was one year I think I won the whole complete board of all the awards that they had there in painting. That just kind of convinced me that was the direction to go, but it was more culturally inspired back then and geometric. So out of that, I started exploring in acrylics and watercolor. And eventually, when I went back to school to study my current profession, IT, I started getting back more into digital art probably in 2005 when the first iPhone started coming out. And it just allowed me to use it as a portable tool so that I could quickly produce ideas. And since it was handheld, I could just take it anywhere. And if I was waiting for a meeting or waiting at the doctor's office or waiting for my car at the dealership, then I would just start sketching and produce ideas that way. I really started to explore more the possibility of doing just solely digital art on its own and trying to produce pieces that I could get into a printed format at that point. And that allowed me to invest in an iPad. After that, I started producing more pieces that I first started printing on wood panels. Those were good, but I just didn't like the level of detail that was coming out, and I decided to use canvas. Then eventually I switched over to aluminum, and that's what I've been doing most of my work on up to currently. Out of that digital exploration, I thought about going back into my original ideas that I had produced back when I was working for the Trading Post, and I started reproducing some of the pottery designs that I had done back then. And I started creating those 3D in a 3D program. And I invested in some 3D printers, and then I started printing those out to see what they would look like. So right now I'm just currently at the starting phase of doing that, and I'm not really sure if I want to go beyond the printed pieces and do something like bronzes or maybe jewelry work, because I do have jewelry designs that I also created, which I'm reproducing now inside of the 3D modeling program. But along the way, I also finally learned how to do painting by oil. So I've worked extensively with oil painting as well on the side, and aerosol. When I used to run a gallery downtown, there was a lot of artists who were around in downtown Phoenix who were working in aerosol, so I decided to explore with that. So I can use aerosol paints and creating huge pieces as well. I think that that's probably as far as I've gone in my exploration, but I don't know. We'll see. I think everything you just have to keep on learning on and keep challenging yourself. So.
Oh, yes, definitely. You've definitely worked with a variety of different mediums. So how did you get into each of those mediums? Were they kind of like, were you just exploring different options? Were you self-taught or?
Yeah, I'm pretty much self-taught for everything. The only formal training I really got was for the graphic design part, and that was really just to learn how to put together a professional portfolio. I always had this huge apprehension for oil paints, and finally one year I just took the leap and decided I might as well just try it. What's the worst thing that could happen? I mean, I fail and then that's it. I mean, it's not going to be like something really dire. So I decided just, if you mess up, then you just get a chance to redo it. So that's what I did, and that's how I got into oil painting. I just kept experimenting more and more and seeing what worked. Kept reading a lot of online forums for help to see on different techniques and basically what mediums to use. That's how I learned oil painting. And with spray painting, that's pretty much the same way. Is you have to learn by doing it. You have to put in the hours. You just can't. It's not something that you can just put on a YouTube video and say, this is how you do it, and then you'll be successful. You pretty much just have to go out there and put in the hours, and you finally get to a point where you understand the mechanics behind it. You understand the material itself and how it works and what can work for different walls, for different kinds of paints, brands of paints, and whether or not you can use markers or at all, on different pieces. So, and that's kind of led to just doing the more sculptural work as well. It's with skateboards. It's like another different kind of medium, but it's just the actual material that you're doing work on. So it doesn't really matter what you paint on or what size it is. It's just the ideas that you have, and at a certain point you just go with the flow, and it just comes naturally.
Oh, wow. And you can't teach naturally. You've worked with many different variety of mediums. So what would you say is your favorite medium to work with?
I would say working with oils is really soothing. It's also time consuming, but at the same time I like the different effects that I can produce using paintings. And I'd say it's my new favorite right now at the moment. Probably the second is probably digital art at the same time, because it's allowed me to really experiment and go places where you really can't with traditional mediums.
So do you have any art influencers?
I was heavily influenced by Salvador Dali when I was growing up. The classic painters like Leonardo da Vinci, just because of how he's well suited to all the different sciences that he was into, like with his drafting and also with his painting and also carving in marbles. Those were kind of like the biggest influences in my life, early life. And then now that I'm a little bit older, I'm getting more into some of the, it's not really surrealism anymore. It's called lowbrow art is how it's referred to. So some of those masters there. And I think looking at graffiti, there's a lot of art out there that is really stunning to look at, and it's not easily viewed too. And I think that's part of the challenge, is that you have to go to these out of the way places sometimes in order to view some of the best art. And it can also be used as a medium for different kinds of social movements as well. So I think that kind of brings it all into a different kind of realm where I can take all these ideas and influences and produce art that kind of challenges what people think Native art should be.
Mm-hmm. And I know many of your work has been showcased at different places, different exhibits as well. And I know you also shared your work at the Santa Fe Indian Market in the previous years, and also here in the area, the Herb Museum. Can you tell us more about those?
Yes. The Herb Museum, actually, we started a good working partnership when I used to run a gallery downtown. And we would actually invite the students to the gallery in order to hold little student gallery kind of oriented events. And I think working with them, it kind of got me back into the frame of mind where I had to give something back, because I've been pretty blessed with where I've gotten to with not only my art but also my profession at the same time. So doing events like that and also doing the Indian markets at the same time allows people to become associated back with my work, even though it's not really the kind of work that I do, is I would consider as not being really fully traditional in terms of content. And out of opportunities like that, I mean, we also got the chance to work with the Navajo Nation Museum in curating a show back in 2013. And it was one of the first all-female shows that they had done at the museum. And we got a bunch of amazing female artists to come in there and to just pretty much own the whole space that was given to them. And I think opportunities like that are really great when you can get them and you just capitalize on that. And I started doing that with the Santa Fe Indian Market, and I remember it was really hard to get into there. And then I started doing these little pop-up events where they were showing the edgy stuff. And I think it was called Edge, was the programs that they were running at that time. And I got my foot in the door using that, and I was able to get into the market. And I did that for several years until just recently, when I decided to stop doing them just because of the time and energy involved just to go all the way to the next state over. And you have to haul all your equipment over as well, too. So.
And finally, where can our listeners go to find out more information about your art and to learn about yourself?
I have a website, DamianJim.com. I have all my social contacts listed on there, my also my store. So I have an Instagram account that's linked on there, and also my online store is linked on there. And I do have an event that's also going to be coming up in Gallup, in Loom Indigenous Arts Gallery. And that's kind of like an introduction to the whole Santa Fe Indian Market weekend. And that'll be August 17th.
Oh, wow, that is awesome. We'll definitely look into that and follow your Instagram and visit your website. I would like to thank you, Damian, for coming in today and sharing your story with us and your amazing work.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Native Talk Arizona, presented by Native Health and 90.7 FM KRDP. Our executive producer is Susan Levy, sound engineer is Javier Quiroga, and our host is Lanasha Puadi. We hope you will tune in again next week. If you have any questions, please reach us at nativetalkaz@listen2krdp.com.